G'day and welcome to Aussie Vision. I'm Dale, and we're back for another week in the lead up to Basel, and we're in that stage where all the pre-parties are now done and we're having that last final sprint until we get to rehearsals. Now, in that lead up to rehearsals, we'll be going through all the songs with members of the Aussie Vision team in separate podcast episodes. Now, the first one is out with the Big Five and a host that I've done with Craig, but we've got first half of Semi 1, then second half of Semi 1, first half of Semi 2, and second half of Semi 2 to come, and that'll be over in the next week with 4 other members of the Aussie Vision team joining me to give their personal taste on those songs and also how they think they could go. So watch out for those episodes as well. Make sure you're subscribed if you're not already. Now, on today's episode, we're going to be looking at some predictions, actually. The Aussie Vision team has made their early predictions of who will win Eurovision 2025. And then we have Mike to actually give his views on what the team thinks. He'll be joining us there. And then he'll be later on the show as well doing our semi-final predictions, the same that we had last week as well. Plus, we do have his Patreon episode available this week on his top 5 songs. We'll also be hearing from Gojo with his diary update from all things from Madrid and what's coming up next. And we've got some clips from interviews with Ziferblat from Ukraine and Sissal from Denmark. Without further ado, let's get cracking on with the show. So as I mentioned before, the Aussie Vision team did make their predictions on who would win Eurovision 2025. Now, this is early predictions. We haven't seen rehearsals. There's a lot to come, but we did this last year, so thought it was worth doing again for now. On top of the winner predictions, some have added a bit of a surprise that might happen. Also, maybe who might win a jury or a public vote. So have a listen through of the Aussie Vision team members who took part, and then we'll be back to chat about some of those predictions.
My early prediction for who I think will win Eurovision this year is a surprise one. It's one that I think everybody else is sleeping on. It's Switzerland. In a year when nearly all the other entrants are loud and bold and brash and in your face, Voyage provides the perfect antidote to this. It's subtle, it's gentle and delicate and engaging, and it totally sucks me in with every listen. We're slowly seeing Switzerland climb up in the odds, and mark my words, with some great staging to support it, we're going to see Switzerland go back-to-back winners on the 9.
G'day, I'm Liv, and last year I got my predictions very, very wrong, so hopefully I do a little bit better this year. But I think that Sweden is going to win once again. I think this entry has enough going for it to obviously do very well with a televote and actually get quite a bit of jury love. You think about it, there's not many jury-friendly songs this year, full stop. And anytime Sweden sends something on the more authentic and less manufactured side of things, the juries usually do bless them with some pretty good results. So I think they'll get a handy enough jury result with a nice strong televote and just scrape into first place. That's my prediction. As for a surprise result, I think perhaps Austria is not going to do as well as everyone's thinking. I'm sorry, any JJ fans out there, but pop opera, when you think about it, it tends to generally struggle at Eurovision to get right at the upper echelon of the results. I'm talking about that top 5. Think about Kate Miller-Heidke. She had this incredible vocal, some of the best staging we've ever seen at Eurovision, and it still only came 9th. Obviously, Nemo did win last year, bless them, but that song wasn't just pop opera. It was many different elements, and it all sort of melted together in this beautiful landscape, which I'm not entirely sure Wasted Love could do.
So in terms of jury winner, I think Austria will win. In terms of televote winner, I think Sweden will win. Now, normally I would say in this era of voting, the jury winner will normally win. But I do think Sweden has proven itself enough in Belfast that it is going to get enough votes of the juries. So hopefully it'll be a big smash of the televote and get enough jury points to be an overall winner. So that's my prediction for this.
Hi, this is Emma from the Aussie Vision team, and here are my 2025 predictions. This year, I think Sweden are taking the crown for a record 8th time. Everybody loves Kai. I love Kai. I'm yet to meet anybody who doesn't like Kai. I think they will romp it home in the tally vote. I think they will possibly finish about 4th with the juries, but that will be enough to see them take the win. I'm picking Austria as my jury vote winner, but I think they will finish second overall. And my prediction is that France will not do as well as people expect. I think we're only going to see them fall on the right-hand side of the scoreboard. I think they will get a bit of jury love, but I just don't see the tally vote coming for this one. So Sweden for the win, Austria the jury winner, and France to finish on the right-hand side of the scoreboard. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, stop me if you've heard this one before. I think the winner this year is France. Luan Maman. I think there's such an intimacy and an honesty to this song, which really comes through. She's singing about her mum. There's a universality to that. And I think it's really going to come through, particularly once we see it in a Eurovision setting, rather than being performed at a massive football game. France have form in staging stuff like this. They staged Slimane, they staged Barbara Pravi, and this is very much in that same ballpark. I think in a year of a lot of upbeat party songs, Maman has the space to be the Molotov in among all that, and we all know how that did back in 2007. So for that reason, I think we're going to Paris this year, or Lyon, or Marseille, or Montpellier, or you get the idea.
Hi, it's Hammy from Aussivision here. Now, I've had a good think about who I think will win Eurovision, and I'm not looking at the top three here. I'm going out on a limb here to say Finland. I look at a few years ago when we had the Loreen versus Karia thing, and the fan favorite coming second, I guess 2 years in a row. I feel that this is going to be different, and people will push for a Finland win, which will also win the televote, and hopefully the jury vote will be enough to get it over the line to win. As for jury vote, I'm going out on a huge limb here, and I'm saying Greece.
My early prediction for who will win Eurovision 2025 is the Netherlands. I reckon Claude has a really positive, upbeat, and accessible and memorable song, and it's going to get a fair bit of love from both the jury and the public. And when you throw in the possibility of a potential Jos Klein revenge vote after what happened to him in the Netherlands last year, if that eventuates, look out. I reckon he's going to be a red-hot shot at winning it. Other countries who I think are in contention, but I can probably see maybe getting top 5, but not winning it, are Sweden, Finland, Austria, and Israel. And as for a smoky, keep your eye on Lithuania. I reckon they're going to get a bit of a cult following and be a bit of an outside chance of top 10 if they can get through to semi-finals first.
G'day, it's Dale here, and my early prediction before rehearsals, which is very hard, is between two countries, Sweden and France. Favourite Sweden is going to do fantastic in the public vote, and they're going to be rewarded for a song like this more than you would normally in the juries, because there's not as much to look at for the juries here, and this is really well executed. It's slick, they perform it well with good vocals, so they will get a decent enough jury score with a high public vote. That should win, right? Well, on the other hand, we could get France with a really high jury score, a bit like Nemo last year. And if you got a really high score, even with an average public vote of even a 5th or 6th, you can win overall. And I think France has the potential to do something like that. But if I have to choose right now, I have to choose Sweden, just because it's more of a known entity, and I think I need to wait to see France's staging. On the other hand of things, my wildcard prediction is that Austria is not going to do as well as people think. Opera has a limit. The main part isn't even his vocal. So I don't know. I just have a feeling that it will drop down a little bit. It's not going to get the big jury win people are expecting here.
Okay. This is Fleur coming from sunny Richmond. Now, 1 month away from the Eurovision Song Contest, there's one song that keeps popping in my head as to who will do well in both the jury and the televote, and that is Finland. I really don't see any other song doing as well, like going top 3 in both, except for Erika Wigman. I think you have songs like Austria, which I think do really well with the jury. Televote, I could see it getting top 5, but I don't think you'll get enough. Televote songs, I see our own Milkshake Man doing quite well there, but does it have the jury vote? I don't think so. So, yeah, Finland for the overall result.
Hi, this is Jamie from the Aussivision team. My early prediction for Eurovision is JJ from Austria with Wasted Love. He's such an amazing voice and he's been totally smashing it at the Eurovision pre-parties. Just like Switzerland last year, I can see Austria winning the jury vote, but it'll be the public vote, which is a total unknown. My other choice, and she'll probably at least come top 3, is Erika Vikman from Finland. She completely owned the stage with her performance at Finland's national final UMK, and she's been very popular with the audiences at the pre-parties. She'll poll very highly with the public vote. My outsider or dark horse is Albania. Ever since watching them at the Albanian national final FIC last December, they've been moving up the odds, and I think they'll provide their country's best ever finish at Eurovision this year.
I think it will come down to who do I think will win. But if I have to take a guess, it will come down to Sweden, Netherlands, Finland, France, Austria, or Israel. The jury and the televote will be very close. The semifinals could be one way or the other. But if I have to force to choose between one of the two, one of the countries that I mentioned, I would say Austria.
All right, well, we've just heard from the Aussievision team about their winner predictions. A lot of different countries there.
Ooh.
Now, Mike, you're joining us for this section here.
I am. I'm back.
You're back again.
He's arisen. Just in time for Easter. Yeah.
So I thought I'd just get you on to talk about this because, number one, you didn't put your predictions in there because you've only kind of got one foot in things this year, don't you? You're kind of across things, but you're not fully into it.
Pretty much. I haven't been following completely, like as I usually do. I wouldn't say I've got a foot in. I think I've got a few toes, Dale, probably dangling in there. But I've still kept an eye on what's going on and who's the chatter about.
And you've seen all 37 songs. You're across everything with that. Now, very open, mixed bag of things there. Like from what you've seen, do you think it's an open year? Do you see any obvious winners popping out?
Absolutely. Very open year. Probably the most open year in quite a while. So obviously there's a couple of favourites. There always are. Odds are odds and fan favourites, etc. are that. But look, I think there's a few contenders, some which, I might have opinions on, whether they should be or not, and others that maybe people are sleeping on.
Yeah, well, I think the thing with this is like, we always look at the odds over the years, and pretty much since 2018, the odds favourite going a month in, other than Måneskin, has won Eurovision.
Okay.
Last year was between Baby Lasagna and Nemo at different times, but generally speaking, Nemo was one of the favourites coming in. So Sweden, the heavy favourites, and becoming more and more favoured by the day. Is that warranted? Do you reckon?
Well, in an even year, I think it's got appeal for sure. Do I personally like it? No. I wouldn't say
like
no. I wouldn't say no, but would I like it to be a winner? No. I think if that was to win, it would be one of the poorest winners in years. It's pretty basic as a song. Yeah, it's got a humorous concept and it's very catchy, but ultimately, I wouldn't say it's a high quality song, would you, Dale?
Look, I think it's a high quality of what it does, and I think that's and I think in a year when you don't have a lot of things looking at the juries to look at, they might reward this more than it normally would in any other year. So I don't know. Like I think it's gonna get public vote, and then as long as it does okay in a jury, that could be enough.
Yeah, I don't know. Is the bubble overblowing it? Like are people that your mums and dads tuning in from all over Europe gonna be into it as much as the fandom is? You know what I mean? Like it's to me, it sings very much to the Eurovision crowd. It's quirky, it's fun. Is everyone gonna react to that? Because I personally, we just had some rankings before. I gave it 10th. Like, I'm not that impressed with it. I'm not overwhelmed with it. I think it's fine. But, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know why people are completely losing their minds about it, to be honest, because I don't think it's that good. It's fine.
I think it's got a lot of momentum, a lot of cardio-type momentum coming into the whole thing.
And he lost.
He lost, yeah, but we had a real obvious winner that
we
year.
Did. We did.
Particularly when we
had a
hit
very
the ground.
obvious top two that year.
Exactly. And I think this is the thing, right? Because I every single song, I look at it individually and say, not a winner. It's a second, it's a third, it's a fifth. That's a top 10. Someone has to win.
Someone's got to win, right?
So we're going to probably get a winner that we probably wouldn't win any other year, maybe. I think it's a very fun year. Maybe it's not a high quality year, but very fun. So I'm going to really enjoy it. But so therefore, I feel like a lot of different ones could jump out, and maybe we just have to weigh who has the best staging, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about who performs on the night and has that sort of that little spark that people really vote for, because there is a lot of eye-catching televote stuff. So maybe the juries and where they place things have quite the say this year. But then again, you can have a huge jury score, but then the public don't come for you, and, you know, it all falls down.
So I know you're not doing exact predictions, but who are you thinking could be the contenders if it's not going to be Sweden?
I think people are sleeping on Finland. I think Finland's got both jury and televote appeal. She is an experienced performer. We saw in her national final, she's got a very clear concept of what she wants to do. It should resonate for first-time watchers. I just think it's got points on both sides. And sometimes, perhaps in a year like this, and you come, you know, third and third or second and third, all of a sudden, boom, you're the winner. Because I think it's a better quality than Sweden as far as composition and staging, you know, goes. So I don't see why that should be discounted as a possible winner for sure. She can sing it, she can perform it.
I think it will do. It has a better chance if there isn't a runaway winner of a jury and a runaway winner of the televote.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
I think it needs to rely on that kind of Jamala-esque situation where you got a 3 or 4 getting around the same, or like they get a much lower thing from everything else. I just think, I don't know, I see it doing well, but more like a Ukraine last year. Good points on both sides, but just not enough, or something like that.
I think also we've got some songs out there that are very bombastic and very, let's go for the televote and let's be completely over the top. This is a pared back version that's quite palatable. And, you know, people, you know, some things could just be like overwhelming for some people, where this can go, okay, the Finnish lady was quite good.
I mean, it depends how sexual she is, though, as well.
We've seen Finland also gaining some momentum over years. Now, I know people don't go, oh, I'll vote for Finland because they should have won 3 years ago or whatever. People don't do that. They vote for what they like on the night. But at the same token, you do tend to see these countries kind of build to a win. And I think maybe it's Finland's time to skate to the finish line.
All right, any thoughts about France and Austria? They're probably the other ones that were being brought up a lot from the team and in the odds.
The France I quite like. Really, really do. I think that's a very high quality song. And she, her performance when she debuted it in the rugby stadium was mind-blowing. So obviously great jury points there if she nails the vocal, and the French are pretty good at their staging generally. So I can imagine it's going to go pretty well for them. I'd count on a pretty big jury score, and it's about if it's the heart-wrenching ballad moment of the night, then, you know, ballads do get points. I know people think they don't, but they do.
They do.
And, you know, maybe that's the one that again, maybe skates through and takes the prize, because it's certainly quality, much better quality than Sweden.
We haven't had a ballad winner for a while, too.
We haven't, and it is quality.
What about Austria?
Look, it's an interesting one, you know, like it's a good song. He's got those operatic. Is it a little too Nemo-esque? Echoes of Nemo, you know, for me. We don't tend to do 2 kind of similar winners in a row. And I wouldn't say, I mean, there's obviously very different songs, different performers, but there is an echo of a Nemo there. And
echo's a good word to use.
I don't particularly like that following up the year after, to be honest. Not that it's a bad song or, you know, or anything. I think it could be quite spectacular on the night, but I can't see it winning.
Viewers on the night, kind of more casual fans, they will often go, oh, that is like last year.
Yeah.
Even though we know they're very different.
Yep, absolutely.
There's just, as you say, an echo is there, and I think they sometimes get punished for that.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously Nemo will probably perform at the start of the show or something, or, you know, or even as an interval act or something, and all of a sudden we see some guy that's hitting some fantastic note. Just go, maybe let's not follow the formula too closely.
Oh, we'll see. All right, well, thank you for your little analysis.
You don't think anyone else is going to have a chance?
Well, Spain, Michael, is not a chance, really.
Unfortunately not, I don't think so. No.
Yeah. No, well, those are the main contenders. And yeah, it's very, I just think in such an open year, it's so going to be down to who can nail that staging performance.
Yep.
and lift.
Yeah, and often you'll see when the performers and the delegations hit the ground, that's when the real momentum. Maybe someone springs from the pack with
Like
you know,
Fuego.
yeah, like with an incredible staging concept or an incredible performance. So still a lot of kind of meters to run in this race, I'd say.
Oh, all right. Thanks very much, Mike.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Now, as you know, Gojo, Australia's Eurovision entrant, is over in Europe. He's been doing promotion, he's been doing pre-parties, and of course, he is doing all his preparations now for Basel, which is amazing and exciting. And as part of that, he's been giving us a weekly sort of diary update, catch up with us around what's been going on in his world in his own words. Let's have a listen.
Hey Aussie Vision, it's Gojo here. This is my weekly update on everything, all Eurovision things. I had my first flag parade, which was really fun, and I dressed up really glammy and went on the red carpet and had tons of interviews, met a bunch of fans, which was really cool. That was in Spain, first time also being in Spain, so it was really cool to see the culture out there. And then we also had the performance that the next day as well. So that was the first time performing in Spain too, which was really cool. Very fun. The Spanish crowds are absolutely wild. They go crazy. And we're just singing Milkshake Man really loudly, which was so cool. I saw the videos after and yeah, made my heart really warm. It was so much fun. And now we just got to Italy and we're hanging out in Italy, filmed a bunch of stuff. It's actually funny, I was vintage shopping yesterday and I ran into Lucio Corsi. Out of everyone I could have ran into, I ran into Lucio, who's representing Italy. And that was so funny. He's a really sweet guy. It was a really cool and nice interaction. We planned on catching up with them last night as well, but I think both of us ended up getting really tired because Lucio had an event on and then they finished a bit late. But yeah, now we're off to Latvia. Can't wait to update you guys in another week. Bye.
Always great to hear from Gojo. He's definitely loving those pre-parties and getting the energy from the fans, which is fantastic. And how random to run into Lucio Corsi and Rome in some market. Love it. Now, it's not just been Gojo we've been hearing from. We've been doing interviews with artists over the last few weeks, including this one from Liv, where she talked to Sissal from Denmark. Now, she spoke about a couple of things. The really interesting thing here is that she's from the Faroe Islands. So how does someone from the Faroe Islands get to represent Denmark, and how does that musical journey go? That's part of the chat. Let's have a listen.
Tell us about growing up in like the music industry of the Faroe Islands and then moving to sort of mainland Copenhagen. Are there quite different music industries there, or what's the vibes?
Yeah, it's definitely like really different. So I didn't grow up in a like musician, like a family with musicians. So I never went to like music school doing any instruments. So it was just something that I learned by myself. One of my dad's friends, he was a guitarist and he lived in Denmark. When he visited us in the Faroe Islands, he learned me 3 chords, and that was how I started like playing the guitar as well, because I've always been singing. But I mean, so I've always been singing. So I was like in a children's MGP in the Faroe Islands and like a song of the year, like voice of the year when I was 15. But it's very small. It's a small competition. But that was like how I put a foot in the music industry. But it was basically when I turned 19, when I was in my second musical, when I was Rizzo. I played Rizzo in Greece, where I met someone that was in the music industry and that worked with a lot of musicians and was like a musician himself. So we actually started working a lot together. And that was like when I started making my own music. Like I got to play in a band as well and learned a lot about like the music industry. But it's quite different in the Faroe Islands because it's a very small circle of musicians that keep like playing at the same festivals as well. So it's very hard for other musicians come through, even if you would think that it would be easier. And there's not a lot of electronic pop as well. So when I moved to Denmark and I met Max and Christian, who produced and co-wrote my whole EP, it was for the first time I made music that felt like something that felt really right for me, because I've always listened to electronic pop and that like in the Eurodance genre. So that was the first time that I felt like I was doing something that it was made for me.
Excellent. Speaking of Australia, I mean, Australia and Denmark have, a very cute little relationship as countries just anyway, with Queen Mary and whatnot. And, I have lots of family in Denmark. We've got some Danish licorice just chilling here. Anyway, but Australia and Denmark are actually in the same semi-final, so we can vote for each other. Did you have a message for your Aussie fans?
I mean, I just want to say thank you so much for your support and for you guys listening to my music. I've seen like Australians are listening, are streaming my music, and I appreciate it so much. And I love your guys' song as well. Like, I love his song. And I just want to say thank you so much for the support, and thank you for listening. And yeah, like I'm so grateful.
I had the pleasure of talking to Ziferblat from Ukraine. They're a great bunch of guys, I must say. They definitely held you to account around questions. I think they said at one stage to me, "That's a very strange question." And I was like, I think it's pretty normal anyway. But they were actually really lovely on top of that. They really were. They brought a lot of energy. They were great to chat to. And I could have put the whole interview on here, but here's just a few minutes, particularly where they're talking about the importance of being advocates for Ukraine. Now, I noticed obviously from a lot of your music that it's predominantly in Ukrainian, but obviously for Bird of Prey and to go to Eurovision, you've included English lyrics. Is there there's a reason? Was that a really deliberate thing to go to Eurovision with some English in there?
First of all, we at the very beginning, we started as the English language band, if I can say like this. And most of our songs were in English. But then after we had the first revolution Ukrainian revolution in 2014, we decided to continue with the Ukrainian language. Yeah, but of course, we always want to be recognizable in Europe, and of course we want to continue our career not only in Ukraine but in Europe. So that's the main reason. And the second reason, of course, we want to remind Europeans about our situation. So it's better to use English parts in the song, because of course English is a like language of the world, like everybody can understand this. And but we have Ukrainian parts, we have English parts to be catchy, to go directly to everyone, not only people from Ukraine.
Yeah, nice. Now,
yeah, if I could sing in Ukrainian and be understandable for Europeans, I will do that. But right now, Ukrainian language is not the most popular language in the world, to be honest. Yeah.
So beautiful language, though. And talking about Ukraine, now Ukraine has a 100% qualification record, the only country in Eurovision that does have a 100% qualification record. Is there any pressure for you guys now to keep that record going? Do you feel pressure?
How do you think? Yeah, because you just asked about this, and it puts more pressure on us. You remind us about this. Of course, we want to continue this. I mean, they call it streak. It's our winning streak. Yeah, winning streak. And of course, we want to continue this tradition, and I think we will, because our sound is not that bad. And it's not the main goal for us, because of course we want to make it to the final and then to make it to top 10, of course. But Ukraine is going through a lot during the last 10 years, and of course the last 3 years when the full scale invasion started. And the main goal is to remind Europeans about our situation, is to call for support is to share of our emotions, to remind of our situation. So to reach the final, to make it to the top 10, for example, it's the second goal, but of course it's important too.
But if we're talking about our band, ourselves, not about Ukraine, yeah, we need a high position at the competitions, right? Like Eurovision, to improve our music, to have a business deals, and to have a more listeners in the Europe. Yeah, that's common. That's true. Yeah.
All right, last week we featured a bit of a chat with Mike and I around semi-final 1. Now, this is about who he liked and who he thought would qualify, as well as my thoughts on that too. Now, with this, this was part of a recording we did where we watched all the songs in a row from each semi-final in their running order, a Sunday afternoon with a bottle of wine, definitely. So it's a little looser, as you would have known from last week, and because we're going to do semi-final 2, that was like another hour or so with a couple more glasses of wine. So it might even be a little more chaotic, but I think it's just good to get a sense of Mike's raw kind of thoughts about how this all went, because he's been a bit of an outsider this year. So it's always interesting to see that kind of first listen, first watch, and also how it went in the running order. So let's have a listen. Oh, well, first of all, what were the ones that you loved? Your personal taste.
Personal taste, 100% loved Finland. Personally, I quite enjoyed Denmark, and I'm going to put Australia and Ireland in there as well.
Oh, wow. Interesting. Trash.
Thank you.
Okay, so who do you think will qualify? What's your number that you've got as your, I think they'll qualify?
I've got 8.
Okay.
8 qualifiers.
Who are you?
Finland, Serbia.
Yep, I agree.
Israel.
I agree.
Czech Republic.
I have not got checked down.
Malta. Greece.
Yep, I got Greece.
Austria. And Australia.
In Australia.
I think we've got enough. Even though it's a long way back from opening the show, I think we've got a good enough song, and he's very charismatic.
I think for the 8, the only I put in Lithuania based on the nations in this semi. So I didn't put Czech in, and we had the same, but I put Lithuania in.
Okay.
And I do think Greece, actually, looking at that lineup, I feel better about Greece now. I think they feel pretty confident.
It's very stands out in its whole in different way. Yeah.
I've got 4, almost 5 for the last 2 spots.
I've got 5 for the last 2 spots.
Okay, who are they?
Ireland.
Ireland's one I've almost got it as an NQ, but it's the 5th of the 5th.
She needs to improve that a lot. It's about that staging, but I think the song's fun, and if they can capture that, awesome. Armenia.
Yeah, I've got Armenia there too.
I like it personally.
I think its running order's good, so I could get it over the line.
But he's going to need a bit.
But he's got Czechia, he's got Australia, there's other guys doing stuff.
I kind of agree to turn heads. Lithuania, I've got them as a possible.
Yeah, so I've got Czechia instead, because that needs staging for me. I don't think the song was there.
It needs something.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't wear grey, horrible outfits like that. It just doesn't capture.
Oh, no, that's what I think I'm saying Czechia needs something. Because people don't vote for Czechia. They struggle.
Who votes for Lithuania?
Lots of people. UK, Ireland.
All right, true. I've got Denmark.
I've got Denmark in there too. On the cusp.
Unfortunately, it is a bit of a dated song. It's going to have an audience of sort of middle-aged gays.
Yeah.
I wonder who those people could possibly be. But yeah, I think it's on the cusp. And Luxembourg.
Yeah, same. Luxembourg.
I got Luxembourg. I think it's got something, but in an all televote, yeah.
And so we've ruled out Montenegro, Latvia, and Georgia.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you gun to your head, you have to pick the 2. Who do you go?
Lithuania and Luxembourg.
I'd probably go Luxembourg and Denmark.
Really? I just can't see it happening, unfortunately, as much as I love it.
I do think that things are against it.
It's a bit.
Maybe actually I'll swap that to Armenia. See. Oh, well, I think that's a tough one. That's tight. That's tight.
So out of that, absolutely loved Finland, loved Germany. That was terrific.
Yeah, out of the big ones, France,
contender, massive contender. UK was fine.
Jury points there.
Yeah,
I think.
some jury points there. Yeah. And I was happy with Australia.
I feel better about Australia.
We need to stage it correctly, though.
Yeah.
I'm more confident this year than I was last year.
Oh, without a doubt.
I put it that way.
We were happy with 11th. We were surprised with 11th. All right. Well, that was been the journey.
Yeah.
Been
Thanks for
interesting.
joining.
Thanks for going through it. And
watched every song in its entirety.
we have. Well, some interesting thoughts and discussion there, definitely. Not as profesh as normal there, but it's nice to let loose now and again. It's like old days of Aussie Vision. And it was actually our 8th anniversary of Aussie Vision this week. We've been going for 8 years now. We started off with the podcast and a little bit of a site and just Mike and I, and now we've grown to around 20 members who make everything happen, volunteering their time. So big thanks for them. And for anyone who does sign up for Patreon, not only do we give you some extra content, you actually help make Aussie Vision happen. So it is truly much appreciated. Now on the Patreon this week, we actually have Mike's top 5 songs of the year now that he's across everything. A couple of little surprises there, I must say, and you'll hear my reaction and what I have to say about some of his choices. Let's put it that way. All right, well, that's it for another week. Now, as I mentioned before, there'll be these other episodes where we go through each song of the semi-finals. 4 more to come out. They'll be out over the next few days. And then I'll join you again next week, just before I jet off to Europe. All right, thanks for joining, and catch you later.